We thought we had found humanity's greatest weakness. Instead, we accidentally woke its oldest weapon. The first contact reports described humans as Deathworlders, creatures capable of surviving injuries that would kill most species, enduring toxic environments, and fighting long after logic demanded surrender. Yet hidden within thousands of biological records was one detail that fascinated the Galactic Council. Every 24 Earth hours, humans voluntarily entered a state of complete unconsciousness called sleep. No shields. No active defenses. No awareness. To us, it sounded absurd. The Council's Intelligence Bureau believed it had discovered the flaw that evolution forgot to fix. I was Commander Zokud of the Silent Talon Infiltration Division, and I was ordered to prove it. My team infiltrated Outpost Meridian, a remote human logistics station near the frontier. The objective was simple: capture a sleeping human Marine and extract him before anyone noticed. The target was identified as Sergeant Kenneth Love. Surveillance showed him entering his quarters alone. Minutes later, his neural activity dropped into deep sleep patterns. The Council celebrated before the mission even began. We believed we were approaching prey. We did not realize we were approaching a dormant predator. The deeper we moved into the human habitat ring, the stranger everything became. Human corridors remained dimly lit, designed for creatures comfortable with darkness. The rhythmic hum of life support mixed with distant machinery, creating an eerie calm. When we finally reached Kenneth Love's quarters, I expected vulnerability. Instead, my bioscanners immediately flooded with warnings. The human's heart beat with extraordinary force despite his unconscious state. Blood circulation levels exceeded those of 3 trained Creekson soldiers combined. Muscular tissue showed constant micro-repair activity. Hormonal production remained active. Toxin filtration rates were accelerating rather than slowing. Nothing about the process resembled rest. Our science officer, a Croonan's specialist named Gakrox, stared at the readings in disbelief. Delta wave emissions from the human brain were so intense that our sensors briefly registered electromagnetic interference. Then the Council sensors detected something impossible. Every major biological system was improving while the subject slept. It was not inactivity. It was maintenance. A combat platform rebuilding itself from the inside. Looking at Kenneth Love lying motionless in the darkness, I felt the first hint of uncertainty. Protocol demanded immediate extraction. We deployed dampening fields and advanced toward the bed. Sergeant Love remained completely still beneath a simple thermal blanket. His breathing was slow, steady, and remarkably deep. I remember thinking how harmless he looked. The reports had exaggerated, I told myself. Humans were dangerous when awake, perhaps, but not now. Tucker Morales, one of the human engineers assigned elsewhere on the station, had left a collection of tools on a nearby workstation earlier that day. We moved carefully around them. Every step was calculated, every motion silent. Yet something inside the room felt wrong. My instincts, sharpened through dozens of covert operations, kept warning me that we were missing a critical variable. The Council realized too late this was not a defensive action. It was an intrusion into a biological process we did not understand. We attached containment restraints to our equipment and prepared the neural suppressor. One more movement and the mission would be complete. Then a member of my team brushed against a metal tool. The object fell. The sound lasted less than a second. That second changed everything. The reaction was instantaneous. Across known space, awakening typically required gradual neurological transition. Most species needed several minutes to regain full awareness. Humans apparently ignored that rule. The moment the noise echoed through the room, Kenneth Love's eyes opened. There was no confusion, no hesitation, no visible struggle between sleep and consciousness. His nervous system activated with terrifying speed. Adrenaline flooded his bloodstream before he even sat upright. Our scanners recorded a massive circadian response event. Heart rate surged. Muscle readiness increased. Threat recognition centers ignited. The human had not consciously identified us yet, but his body already knew danger was present. Before I could issue a retreat command, he was moving. The transition from sleeping Marine to combat-ready Deathworlder occurred in less time than it took my translator to process a warning. Something inside the fleet began failing silently, sector by sector. Not machinery. Confidence. Every assumption we carried into that room collapsed. Kenneth Love rose from the bed in complete darkness, guided not by vision, but by instincts refined through millions of years of surviving predators on Earth. What happened next still appears impossible in official recordings. Human quarters lost power when one of our disruption devices overloaded. Darkness consumed the room. For most species, including mine, combat effectiveness would have dropped immediately. The human seemed completely unaffected. We heard movement. Fast. Precise. Controlled. One operative attempted to raise a plasma restraint projector. Kenneth intercepted the weapon before it activated. Another reached for emergency illumination. The device never turned on. The humans weren't reacting, they were predicting the entire battlefield. Every movement from my squad was answered before completion. Yet there was no strategy visible in the conventional sense. No calculated formations. No command structure. This was subconscious combat. Pure reflex. Pure survival programming. The ancient instincts of a Deathworld species operating beneath conscious thought. My soldiers possessed advanced tactical implants. Kenneth Love possessed something far older and apparently far more effective. A laser carbine was seized and crushed against reinforced decking. Not through rage, through effortless mechanical force. The human still appeared only half awake. That realization terrified me more than anything else. I ordered a full withdrawal. Unfortunately, the room had already become a trap. Not because the human was hunting us intentionally, but because his instincts treated every unidentified movement as a potential threat. One Creekson operative attempted a silent escape toward the doorway. Kenneth intercepted him without even looking in that direction. Another activated a cloaking field. The human tracked him through sound alone. The Council had spent centuries perfecting technology. Earth had spent billions of years perfecting adaptation. That difference suddenly mattered. As panic spread through the squad, I noticed something remarkable. Kenneth Love was not angry. He was not even fully conscious. His breathing remained uneven with fatigue. Occasionally, he blinked as though still trying to understand why he was standing. Yet every physical action remained devastatingly effective. The station's monitoring systems finally restored emergency power. Pale white light flooded the room. For the first time, we clearly saw our opponent. Barefoot. Unarmored. Wearing simple sleep garments. Surrounded by defeated infiltrators. The image shattered centuries of Council military doctrine. Then came the moment that transformed an embarrassing mission into a galactic directive. The lights illuminated the room completely. Kenneth looked around slowly. His expression showed confusion rather than aggression. Several seconds passed. He examined the broken equipment scattered across the floor. He examined us. Then he yawned. A genuine yawn. The same biological gesture humans use when tired. We had crossed half a sector, deployed elite operatives, bypassed station security, and triggered a combat incident that would become mandatory study material in military academies. Kenneth Love responded with mild annoyance. "What are you doing in my room?" he asked. The translator rendered the words perfectly. No triumph. No threat. Just irritation. Behind him, warning alarms continued sounding across the station. He rubbed his eyes, waited for an answer, received none, and sighed. The silence that followed felt heavier than any weapon. We were not enemies worthy of concern. We were an inconvenience interrupting sleep. That realization damaged Council prestige more effectively than any battlefield defeat ever could. The official investigation expanded rapidly. Scientists reviewed every second of the encounter. Military analysts compared human awakening speeds against hundreds of known species. Political leaders demanded explanations. None were comforting. Reports concluded that sleep did not reduce human danger as previously assumed. In some circumstances, it merely delayed access to capabilities already present. The study identified a combination of apex slumber recovery mechanisms, accelerated threat recognition, hormonal surge responses, and instinctive motor activation. Together, they created something unprecedented. A creature capable of transitioning from deep unconsciousness to effective combat readiness almost instantly. Worse, the phenomenon appeared common among humans. Kenneth Love was not exceptional. He was average. Additional interviews with humans only deepened our concern. Several admitted they could wake and respond to emergencies within seconds. Others casually described navigating their homes in darkness. A few even laughed when informed of the Council's failed operation. Humanity's greatest vulnerability had become humanity's latest warning label. 3 cycles later, the Galactic Council issued Directive 71. The order was brief, absolute, unambiguous. Under no circumstances were personnel authorized to deliberately disturb a sleeping human except during verified emergencies. Military academies incorporated the incident into infiltration training. Diplomatic envoys received special briefings. Fleet commanders distributed revised protocols across thousands of systems. The lesson was simple. Closed eyes do not equal helplessness. Silence does not equal safety. Human sleep is not weakness. It is preparation. I submitted my final testimony personally. As the officer responsible for the mission, I expected disgrace. Instead, the Council preserved my report as a strategic warning. Future generations would study it whenever arrogance tempted them to underestimate Earth. We had entered that room believing we understood predators. We left knowing we had barely understood humans. Somewhere in the galaxy, Sergeant Kenneth Love probably slept peacefully through another night, completely unaware that an entire interstellar government had rewritten military doctrine because he woke up. Today, the galaxy learned why humans were never prey. If you're the kind of person nobody should bother before coffee, type sleep or rest in the comments. Subscribe to humanity's Vanguard and witness the next war before the Council understands it has already begun.